So VMs are a hot topic, but the game seems to be changing through some big market acquisitions and changes, as it inevitably does. So welcome to this quick preview of Are You VM Aware? This session is about helping leaders become more VM aware to better understand their options and where the value is. So I'm going to introduce our speakers for this teaser. We've got Kevin Webb, AWS Services Business Development from Ingram Micro. And we've got Paul Rhodes, who's a co-founder and director at Perform Partners. And you'll also see a section with Paul Gordon, who is product marketing at Matilda Cloud. So we're going to start stepping through why you should be interested in this and really what's going on in the market. So what problems are the customers having out there, Kev?
It's an interesting question, Sean, right? I mean, and it's an never changing situation, but right now customers are facing many challenges. They want to drive down cost, increase the profitability of the business. They'll be under pressure from, within their C-suite that the business needs to become more digital native. It needs to innovate faster and deliver new products and features sooner and, delight customers. Equally, there's a huge amount of interest in Gen AI and machine learning and what you can do there in driving efficiency and experience.
Yeah.
But also people want to avoid lock-in, Sean, right? Complex lock-in with licensing models. And they're the main headlines, right? But I mean, often, these transparent challenges, right? How do you start? Where do you start? What's the visibility? What is it I can move, right? All of these questions come to mind from customers, and we see that very frequently.
Yeah. And what makes it such a complex environment? Why don't customers know what they've got and the implications of how they're using them?
I mean, often it's a factor of time, right? And a business may have acquired different elements over the years. Certain things will sit in certain environments or run by certain divisions, and trying to create that holistic understanding of enterprise IT environment can be a real challenging thing to do.
Yeah, definitely. And Paul, you've been involved with changing things in large companies, enterprise firms across multiple sectors for pushing over 25 years. Does that resonate with the type of experience you've seen?
Yeah, excuse me. It does. Yeah, it usually comes down to cost. It usually comes down to the ability to have a business agility and maximize the value out of those two streams as much as possible in your business.
So it sounds like some companies don't exactly know what's out there in their organization, either through acquisitions, the rate of change, maybe piling tech debt on tech debt, people leaving the company that held some key knowledge. How can they start to think more strategic and solve these problems? What have we seen in the market, Kev, that can help them understand what they've got and how to move forward?
The hyperscalers have produced some interesting statistics in terms of migrating cloud economics, right? But it's founded in real fact, and those facts are gathered in an assessment. We refer to that as a cloud viability assessment, and we're also cognizant as well, Sean, that not everything is viable for the cloud, right? Some workloads are highly complex and have huge interdependencies or regulatory requirements. So, the tooling has become very smart now. It's a very simple process to engage. We can work with all sorts of different organizations to provide, a funded assessment through, for example, AWS, that can look to analyze that environment, collect a comprehensive set of data on that customer's environment, right? Understand right sizing from that, because we've captured the peaks and troughs of the workloads in the customer's billing cycle, for example. We can clearly articulate potential roadblocks, for example, that will come out of that piece of analysis, and that could be around compelling events for a licensing or a renewal or a hardware refresh. And the output from that assessment will also demonstrate real cost savings. What would that environment look like?
That makes sense. So we've got a grasp of what the problems are with the customers. Either they've not got visibility of the systems that are there, perhaps tech debt built on tech debt, compounded with people leaving the company or information repositories not being updated. Kev, you've touched on some potential solutions to this by doing no commit funded assessments, heavily incentivized by the hyperscalers, which can give a customer a good picture of what they've got, what it's doing, and what's suitable for the cloud, because it's a great point you've made there that not everything is. So if we know the customer's problem and we can give them visibility around, what it looks like and perhaps a way forward, and then Paul, this one's coming to you. What gets in the way of an effective delivery and getting it done?
Probably one of the bigger factors is fear of the unknown, fear of actually how big your problem is. You think you've got a grasp on, there's a bunch of problems, but you don't know how big and how complex they are. And actually, to look under the covers sometimes is a scary thing to do. And, you might think, actually, I don't think I've got time to deal with that. I'll renew what I've currently got, and I've got 2 or 3 years to think about that in the future. Other business challenges come along, and that gets pushed back, and you're in a similar cycle. So what I can say is fear is normal, absolutely normal, and facing that fear is a difficult thing to do, but it shouldn't be a scary thing to, we see it many times that, most of the things we do are under tight times constraints because somebody hasn't potentially or has kicked that can down the road and want to change it, but actually probably not providing the or the ability to provide the timescales that it might need in terms of if you had ultimate a large piece of funding and unlimited time, for example. So that's almost like fantasy land to some degree. No one that we've ever worked with has ever had that. So it's about focusing on what you need to do, cutting out unnecessary noise, and actually focusing on the best outcome for the business. What do you actually need to achieve from a business perspective and a personal perspective? What's going to make the difference? And we narrow into that and then focus on that, and then put all the different methods and employ all the experiences we have done in the past and apply it to whatever business challenge that is, to make that happen in the time frame that is required.
Yeah, and that sounds like the great thing about being part of a broader partner ecosystem. I mean, we're lucky enough to have Kevin this call from a multi-billion-pound company with a wealth of experience across multiple sectors, and been on this journey many times. Much like yourself, seeing different applications of delivery, probably similar challenges maybe that we won't get into in too much depth here, but being able to partner with a customer and walk with them and take them on that journey sounds important to build that trust and cadence to actually solving the problems for them.
No one wants to boil any oceans. I don't always want to use that phrase, but you just take a little wave at a time, effectively, and you start looking at outcomes, not the actual tasks initially. What outcomes do you want to drive? What do you actually want to achieve? Tasks will come naturally later when you start planning, but then once you understand the outcomes, you can start to drive out as a business what constraints do we have. So you look at the risks. You look at the risks in terms of what those are, and actually how important are some of these things, and you start to dissect all your different, what you thought was an insurmountable problem or a thing to deal with becomes lots of many minor problems that culminate in a whole. And some of those will become not important. Some of them will be hugely important. But it's understanding that and actually having the sight, the ability to see through the weeds, and the ability to rise your head above that problem and go, actually, I can see the destination.
And stick with it and be resilient as well. So we've got the webinar coming up on the 8th of May, an exclusive registration event. Kev, if there's one thing that people attending that can look forward to learning and taking away, what would that be from your perspective?
I think it's the understanding, Sean, of the visibility of the case for change that migrating workloads to the cloud can benefit to that organization. It's real fact-based decision making based on real data collected in the customer's environment. It's a highly informative thing to do and really can fuel a business's case for change.
Fantastic. And Paul, what can people look forward to learning from you?
We'll dig more in depth and present the run book and the playbook that Perform Partners use in it when we're running accelerated migration in time constrained environments. So there'll be quite a bit more detail on the structure and the method that we would go through to make sure outcomes are successfully delivered within the time needed.
Sounds good. So a bit of a look behind the curtain, sharing some experience. As a bit of bonus content before then, when we stop talking, continue to watch this video and you'll have a preview of the Matilda analysis tool in action. So that'll be some really valuable content and context when you do join the webinar. But between now and then, go well, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the 8th. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Paul Gordon, Product Marketing Leader at Matilda Cloud. I'm going to briefly walk you through an overview of our platform, show you what we do compared to your alternatives in the industry, and then cut over to an abbreviated demo that we've recorded to help give you an understanding of our software, and especially how we address and migrate VMware workloads to AWS. So our software is agile, secure, it's engineered for precision, and it's built for speed to help speed up your transformation journey with seamless high-impact automation. But we also have this comprehensive assessment, the most comprehensive in the industry, which helps to automate and plan more effectively and create a higher degree of automation than anyone else. We use AI for planning, execution, for every phase of the cloud journey. And we don't just move workloads, we help to optimize for cost and performance and scalability. This approach helps to minimize downtime and ensure compliance throughout the entire process. So whether you're just getting started or already deep in planning, we can help you move more quickly, but also with fewer surprises and with better insights. So when you're assessing and migrating VMware to move to AWS, you've got a few paths to choose from. And so we're all familiar with manual efforts. They're very slow and error prone, and they're especially hard to project. You don't know what the costs or what the time is going to be when you begin a manual process. So this makes these very risky and frustrating projects. And it's often better to just do nothing, or VMware costs go up, but the challenges are so great that without any tools to help us, it's really just easier to do nothing and pay the cost. But luckily, there are a lot of tools that are coming up in the industry to help automate parts of the journey. And so when we look at some of the options you have for tooling, we see that they have limited use cases or that they're narrowly scoped. And so they're often just built for a quick rehost and then to optimize once you're in the cloud. They don't account for the broader strategy or your long-term business goals. They're really just focused on quickly getting you into AWS and then fixing the challenges that come up post-migration. And so the competency that we see in these other tools is that they're really good at fixing the problems that have been created from the quick migration. But what they present for those who are conducting the project are interoperability issues, limited planning, a lot of hidden risks, and post-migration cleanup that's required when you use them. And so we take a very different approach to this. We start with a totally comprehensive assessment where we map every application, service, dependency of all of this, all your infrastructure, and we give you a very clear picture of what you're running, how it's connected, and what are all the dependencies. And from there, we help consider different configurations. We help you evaluate all of your options, and we recommend whether you should do a rehost to EC2, for example, or whether you should be replatforming or re-architecting. And so we don't just give you one rigid path. we give you a flexible approach, all of your options and the insights you need to make an executive level decision. And so whether you're just looking at an assessment, we'll give you all of these insights that you need to guide your strategy, whether you're ready to move now or if you're just exploring. But if you want to go further and take on a big migration project, even if it's larger and more complex, we'll also provide all of the planning and execution of that migration, all of the high level of automation that we can to support those things like the automated rehost that I'll show you in the demo, or the infrastructure as code and landing zone creation that you need for more complex projects. So whether you're just using us for the assessment or the full platform, you're going to get the speed, clarity, and the flexibility, everything you need to lower the risk and cost of your project. And AWS as well is happy to come in and help lower those barriers through different funding options as well. So that's a huge benefit for those considering migration into AWS. So with that, let's cut over to our abbreviated demo of the platform. Matilda Cloud transforms the way enterprises migrate from VMware to AWS. Today, we'll showcase how our unique AI-driven platform maps out your environment, generates actionable insights and recommendations, and streamlines your migration journey, ensuring a seamless transition with tailored recommendations. Matilda Cloud offers two types of assessment to help you quickly plan your path to AWS. Our rapid assessment gives you a quick, high-level overview of your environment's inventory and cost projections, helping with risk analysis and decision-making up front. The heart of Matilda Cloud's platform is our comprehensive discovery engine. Unlike other tools that migrate before assessing utilization, our Matilda Discover tool maps every application, service, and dependency in the VMware environment. This visibility provides a clear roadmap of the current state and guides your migration strategy with options for rehosting, replatforming, or re-architecting, depending on what's best for the workload. For example, here we see application groups and understand each component's role, usage, and interconnections. By analyzing dependencies, we can determine which applications need to move together, minimizing downtime and reducing risk. Next, Matilda Cloud's orchestration tools take over to simplify and accelerate the migration. With our automated wave group planning, we organize application groups based on dependencies, ensuring that interconnected applications migrate together. This strategic grouping prevents issues like performance loss or broken connections during migration. Our platform also automates the setup of AWS landing zones, creating secure, compliant environments tailored to your specific needs. By generating the infrastructure as code, we ensure each migration wave is deployed consistently, using AWS best practices for networking, security, and resource allocation. With everything mapped and orchestrated, we're ready to initiate the migration. Matilda Migrate allows us to replicate workloads in waves, ensuring continuity and minimal downtime. Each wave is fully monitored, allowing us to track replication, test functionality, and validate each environment before final cutover. Using this approach, we support both lift and shift and replatforming migrations, adapting to any challenges in requirements along the way. This flexibility is crucial, particularly for complex environments where a one-size-fits-all approach simply does not work. Matilda Cloud's platform enables VMware customers to migrate to AWS faster, safer, and smarter with less risk. By combining AI-powered mapping with automated orchestration and migration, we ensure your cloud journey is efficient, compliant, and optimized from day one. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to supporting your transformation.